7 business loans for startups. Look, are you frustrated because you're trying to get a business off the ground, but you can't get the money you need to do so? Or maybe you've already got your business started, but you can't get approved for the capital you need to take it to the next level, to gain traction and actually grow. Well, I'm about to show you 7 unique and little known about ways that you can get business loans even as a startup. I'm going to talk to you about the funding programs that you can qualify for as a startup. We'll talk a little bit about the funding sources you need to go to get approved. We're even going to discuss the amount of money you can actually get approved for. And throughout this, I'm going to sprinkle in a couple bonus credit lines you can get as a startup as well. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to get you access to our funding vault of 27 total ways that you can get funding for your business, many of which will even work as a startup. We've got a lot to cover, so let's jump in. 401k and IRA financing is a great way to get money for a startup business. You can get approved with no other kind of collateral, no cash flow, and no credit requirements whatsoever. You can get the money quickly, typically in 3 weeks or less, and all you need to qualify is a 401k or IRA that's valued at $25,000 or more. Don't have one? That's okay. You can also tap into somebody else's 401k or IRA, such as a family member, a friend, or even a potential investor that maybe wants to be part of your new startup. Now, with this kind of financing, you can get low interest rates, about 5%, sometimes less. You can choose between a loan or a credit line, and it's based on IRS tax-proven strategies, so you pay no penalty for withdrawal or use of the money. You're just basically reinvesting it from other people's companies into your own. Don't have a 401k or IRA? Well, then you might want to consider securities financing. With securities financing, you can get approved for as much as 90% of the value of your stocks and bonds. And again, they don't even have to be your stocks and bonds. So if you have a family member, friend, potential investor, somebody that wants to be part of your business, they can leverage their existing stocks and bonds. You can get a loan or line of credit against the stocks and bonds for a pretty low interest rate, 5% or less. You can get it as a startup because there's no revenue verification. Personal credit quality does not matter, and you don't need any other kind of collateral besides these stocks and bonds themselves. So 401ks, IRAs, stocks and bonds, some really cool ways to leverage assets to be able to get money to get your business off the ground. Crowdfunding is yet another way to get money for your startup. I know, it's not really a business loan. As a matter of fact, sometimes with crowdfunding, you don't even have to pay the money back. But there's a couple different cool options you need to know about. First of all, we're now seeing equity crowdfunding become very popular. This is where investors are now investing into your business through crowdfunding platforms. It's kind of like angel investing or venture capital, but much easier to access. There's also regular crowdfunding, like we're used to with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, where you have a really cool concept, you put it on one of these sites, you have a lot of people that come in and contribute small amounts of money to actually help you get the money you need to get the business off the ground. Now, sometimes that money doesn't have to be paid back. Sometimes people are actually pre-ordering your product. Either way, crowdfunding is a great way to go. So besides Kickstarter, besides Indiegogo, you want to look at other sources like Crowdfunder and Fundable as well to tap into this really cool way to get money for your startup. Bonus break. I know I told you I was going to introduce you to 7 business loans you can get as a startup, but let's talk about a credit line as well. As a matter of fact, this is my favorite funding option I've ever found for startup businesses, and it's called Credit Line Hybrid. Now, with Credit Line Hybrid, it's a hybrid between a credit line and a credit card, and you get the benefits of both even as a startup business. So you can get approved for as much as $150,000 in funding, or typically as much as 5 times the highest revolving credit card limit account you have now. Personal or business, whatever is on your credit report, the highest limit account, 5 times that is typically what you can get up to $150,000 with this program. You get 0% interest for up to 18 months. You could take the cash out at 0%, and a lot of these accounts report to the business credit reporting agencies. So you're building business credit as well as accessing a lot of capital at a 0% interest rate. This is one of the easiest programs to qualify for because all you need is good personal credit. You don't need any kind of collateral, you don't need any kind of cash flow, and you can even get approved as a high-risk business. So if you have a 680 FICO score or higher, there's a good chance you can qualify for Credit Line Hybrid, which will give you more than enough money to get your business off the ground. Yet another type of business loan you can get as a startup comes from a company named UpStart. Now, UpStart is in the peer-to-peer lending industry. And in peer-to-peer lending, UpStart is basically a platform that sits in between you, the borrower, and individual backers. So UpStart basically gets the money from these backers, pulls it together, and lends it to you as a borrower. Now, UpStart caters to young professionals, and they love college graduates. So if you're in those categories, you have an added advantage. Now, you can get approved for as much as $35,000 with reasonable interest rates, and you can get approved for the FICO score as low as 620. So UpStart is a great option to be able to consider to get money for your startup. But beyond just UpStart, look at other sources in the peer-to-peer lending space. Funding Circle lends up to $500,000 once your business is established. You also have Prosper and Lending Club that offer both personal and business funding options. So UpStart's the best for startups, but don't forget about those other sources as your business grows, because there's more unique ways to get capital for your company. From peer-to-peer lending to more familiar sources like PayPal, Square, and Stripe. What do they have in common? They offer phenomenal funding for startup businesses. Listen, PayPal, Square, and Stripe have some of the easiest loans you may ever access. Once you've been in business for 6 months, you can get as much as 30% of whatever you're on track to process annually. So if you're on track to process $100,000 in transactions through one of those platforms, they'll lend as much as 30% of that, or $30,000. Interest rates are fairly low. Fees are really low or non-existent. You can get approved with average credit of about a 620 FICO score, sometimes even lower, and no other kind of collateral or cash flow is required. Now, if you're not accepting money from your customers through PayPal, Square, or Stripe, you should start, because again, by doing so, you open up one of the easiest to access funding options, especially for a newer business. Now, if your new startup business requires equipment to operate, well, then there's a special kind of funding just for you. It's known as equipment financing. With equipment financing, you can get specialized financing solely for the purpose of purchasing the equipment you need. You can get approved with as little as the first and last month's payment down as down payment, and you can even tap into some of the other funding options we've talked about to get the money you need to pay the first and last payment, so you can get in with no money down. Interest rates are low, and you can even get funding as low as in the 500 FICO score range. So even if you have bad credit, don't have any other kind of collateral, and you're just getting your business off the ground, you can still get approved for equipment financing. Now, once you are in business 1 year, then you want to consider equipment leasing, because it gives you even lower payments. But even as a startup business, you can qualify for equipment financing to get money for the equipment that you need to get your startup off the ground. Bonus break. I'm about to introduce you one of the coolest ways to get money as a startup business. This one way will give you more money than you even know what to do with as you get your business off the ground, and it's called business credit. With business credit, you can actually get high limit revolving credit cards for your business EIN that's not linked to your personal social. Now, this is the easiest way to qualify for money as a startup, because you don't need any collateral. You don't need to have any credit checks. So no matter how bad your credit may be, you can get approved, and you can get approved regardless of cash flow, so even as a startup business. Now, you'll start with vendor accounts. So this is vendors like Uline, Quill, and Granger that sell products and services you need to run your business anyways, that you can get credit for, and they report that credit to the business credit reporting agencies. Once you have a handful of those accounts reporting on your business credit reports, then you can move on to get almost all kinds of retail store credit. I'm talking about Sam's Club and Costco, Staples and Office Depot, Home Depot and Lowe's, even Walmart, Amazon, Macy's, Nordstrom all offer this type of business credit. And again, you can get approved without a personal credit check and without a personal guarantee. As you continue to build your business credit, you can access Visa cards, MasterCards, fleet credit to get auto repairs, maintenance, and fuel. You can even access auto financing and computer leasing to be able to get computers and financing on auto vehicles all attached to your business EIN without a personal credit check, without a personal guarantee. If you want to learn more about the steps of building your business credit, go to creditsuite.com/EIN guide, creditsuite.com/EIN guide to get the exact steps to be able to build business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your personal social. And finally, on our list of 7 business loans you can get as a startup is inventory financing. Now, this is a great funding program if you have or need large amounts of inventory, or you're an e-commerce entrepreneur. Now, with inventory financing, you can actually get a credit line using the inventory you have as collateral. If you have inventory worth $500,000 or more, you could borrow against that inventory or get the actual credit line for the purpose of financing that inventory. Interest rates are low. You don't need any kind of other collateral to qualify. You can get approved even if you don't have good personal credit, and you can get approved even as a startup business. Now, as your business starts to generate some sales and you have $150,000 or more in sales, now you want to tap into inventory crowdfunding. With this program, you can actually get the money from a crowd to buy all the inventory that you need to sell online. This helps you grow and scale super quickly, and you can get approved at creditsuite.com/inventory. Now, again, you also want to look at the platforms that you're selling through. So platforms like Amazon have a great credit line, a great loan through Bank of America. and also a credit card, a corporate card that will all help you run that Amazon business. So wherever it is that you're running an e-commerce business, if you are, and that's what you're starting, look there because there's a lot of additional funding sources that we haven't even talked about in this list. That's a wrap. That concludes our list of business loans and some credit lines you can get as a startup business. Want to get approved? Go to creditsuite.com/get funding. If you go to creditsuite.com/get funding, you can answer a handful of questions and talk to our funding team that can help you qualify for the maximum amount of funding for your startup business. And also make sure you like and subscribe. We have tons of training on how to improve your fundability, build your business credit, and get money to start and grow your business. So make sure that you tune in by liking and subscribing. And if you want access to even more ways to get money for your business, then grab our funding vault of 27 different ways to get money for your business, even as a startup. You can do that at creditsuite.com/27 ways. That's the number 2, the number 7 ways. Check out that funding vault to learn about more cool ways to get money for your startup.